guys, welcome back to Uncomfortable Conversations with myself, Maya,
and Lindsay.
So just a little reminder from our last episode, we want to be the big sister to everyone's conversations. We want a safe place for people to be able to talk about topics that aren't really comfortable with people, and we want to be the ear to listen to when you don't feel like you have anyone else.
Today we're going to talk about some sensitive information, so we don't want people to feel uncomfortable during the video. If you don't feel safe in it, if you don't feel ready to listen to this kind of thing, you can just keep at the end of the video. We will have had some number that you can call if you're in a bad situation or anything. So yeah.
And we also thought it was really important to clarify the difference between rape and rape culture. Rape refers to the unconsensual actions of sexual abuse. However, we're going to be talking about rape culture, which means how rape and women are portrayed in media, and the excuses that come with it, and the boys will be boys, and different ads and books, and how we view women in culture. That's what we want to talk about today.
Yeah.
Swoosh.
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 Today's topic is a little bit kind of, well, obviously sensitive, but
yeah, it's an intense one. Definitely.
Yeah, it's definitely intense, and we definitely want to be able to speak about this in the kind of way that it needs to be spoken about.
Yeah, definitely.
But I definitely want to start off, but of course I do. I definitely want to start off by mentioning that I was actually in Dublin the weekend, staying in a really nice hotel. It was so nice, and I needed to go to the bathroom, so obviously went into the bathroom and was peeing, and I happened to look up at the door, and on the door was a women's aid helpline number, with code words that you could use if you were feeling any sort of way, which I've never seen before, so I was really blown back. I had to take a picture. I was so blown back by it.
But it's super nice, and they just start to do these things more and more. Even in Wetherspoon, in Waterford, there is this hat, this paper in the women's bathroom when they're oh, if you feel your date is kind of weird, you don't feel safe at all, you need an escape. You just come to the waitress and you say, oh, I need I want to drink for someone or something like that.
Yeah, you
and
mentioned the word
Amanda. Yeah, and they understand that, and they're okay, we're gonna make you leave discreetly.
I think that's so helpful, especially I've definitely seen it. Even I'm from a small town, we have that in our pubs, and I think it's really nice. I've never seen anyone use it before, but I think it's great that they're starting to
I used it once.
Really? What was that like?
I was really nervous.
Really?
I didn't know if the bartenders were gonna know what I was speaking about, because I had just seen it on a poster, but I was quite young, freshly done my leaving cert, and this older guy just would not leave me alone, and yeah, and just forcing yourself, so I went to the bartender and I was I'm really sorry. I actually was this, I was I'm really sorry, but I need a drink for Amanda. And oh my god, straight away.
Really?
Later he was
take care of you?
Yeah, literally was we don't have that drink in this bar, because I was in Heary's, it is now, but it used to be called Shorts.
Okay.
So they were we don't have the drink in this bar, but we do in the other bar. Do you mind coming with me? And I was yeah, no problem. And they took me into the other bar, and they actually got me home safely.
Wow. That's super nice.
Yeah.
Oh my god, because and sometimes it's flirting with you, and you're maybe at the beginning you're okay, it's okay, if you're gonna understand that I don't want to speak to him, you're gonna understand that I'm close and I'm not replying to him, but they keep insisting and everything, and after they're just don't, see the signal, I don't want to or anything, and you feel so in chain, in prison, you feel so blocked, and we don't see it, and you're please stop, and you just want to escape and you can't, and after they're oh, but I was just joking, why do you take things so seriously?
I've definitely, when I moved to Waterford, because it was bigger from where I was from, and everyone, whenever I'd go out with my friends, I'd be around people I went to school with, so it wouldn't be anyone new. But here, because everyone gets really carried away with drinking and stuff like that, I think that it's really people really excuse guys going up to you, making you uncomfortable, like, oh, he was just drinking, like, it doesn't, like, oh,
Yeah.
don't pay attention to him, like, he's just messing around, like, he's not being serious. Like, I think it's really excused, especially in like bigger areas, because like for me personally, I don't know anybody when I ever go out, so I don't see the same people, and like guys in my experience just feel like they've, not guys, but just people around us feel really like they're comfortable to approach you when you clearly aren't interested in that. And I think that it's really like hard to get away from sometimes.
Yeah. I do think that it's important that, like, especially the way that social media portrays things, or like, you know, we watch TikToks and people are now like making videos of like fake scenarios of this, you know, they're teaching you how to deal with it. But I definitely do think it's worth mentioning that not every guy that approaches you or tries to talk to you is doing anything wrong.
No,
like,
no,
100%.
you know,
Yeah.
like if you come to me and you're polite and you're like, hey, how are you?
Yeah.
Like, no problem. But
that's totally okay.
if I'm giving signals off that, okay, we've had our conversation, now I'm ready to go back, like I'm ready for, you know, it to be over, like, you know, that's when the problem, I think, is starting. Like, and I think that social media and like films and books and, you know, everything that we rely on to teach us and teach a younger generation like how to go about things, like they kind of just don't approach it with the right attitude.
I think it's more like glamorized and glorified rather than talked about in a serious sense, like especially with like books and social media and how we learn about that kind of stuff. It's everywhere, but it's not talked about properly, I think.
And you know, I know a few girls like that have been in situations where they felt uncomfortable, and men have like not forced themselves, because, you know, it's not over the line to be sexual assault, but it's definitely over the line in the rape culture sense, where they're like constantly at you. They're like, yeah, well, like, why, if you're wearing that top, why don't you want people to talk to you? You know, that kind of stuff. Like, I know girls that have been through that and have been like, oh, you're going to think I'm so silly, or this is my fault, or like, you know,
like,
I shouldn't,
being dramatic,
I shouldn't have been that drunk. Like, no.
Yeah, like 100%. I really dislike how victim blaming is a really common thing, where it's like, what was she wearing? Oh, but you were drunk, it's your fault. Like, oh, boys will be boys. Like, victim blaming is such a big thing, where it's like they don't even think about it. It's kind of more like it's the first thing you think of when stuff like this happens, which it really shouldn't be. I feel like who should be blamed? The person who did it, and that's it. Like, that's where the line should be drawn. And I think that it's really unfortunate how things are carried away like that.
I 100% agree. I do think that part of like us, not us, like, but part of our like generation, our society, like excusing and for all the world like romanticizing these things, like, doesn't help with like people growing, like, or people approaching this situation in real life, like, you know. This is,
and like there's this whole thing, like, it's just sometimes like we've always romanticizing the rape and everything. People just don't know that it's not normal, like the young, especially the young people, because they're like submerged by like social media, by new book, by movie, by series, and they just spend all their time on that. And if they learn this when they're like super young, they don't understand that it's not a normal comportment you should have to. Like, just people should respect you if you say no, if you don't feel like it, you just not force you, because it's kind of, for me, for what you see on book and everything, it's normal. It's
not addressed, so it becomes normalized, which I definitely think that it happens, especially in books and media.
You know, like we mentioned before, like that the figures and the numbers for women not feeling safe, or like not, you know, feeling like they're being respected in their relationships or anything like that, is quite high. And I do think a lot of that is due to how not they're raised by their parents, but how they're raised by society, because I do believe that like the society you grew up in raises
like
you.
What kind of media they surround themselves with.
But also I have a question, like, do you think that it should be taught in school?
I
would. It should we should teach our younger generations about this in school, like.
No, 100%. Like I was mentioning before, I used to be in the Corlin and Oak like panel for Kildare, and like that's what we were trying to implement. We were trying to put the workshops into secondary schools and primary schools by changing the language, because it happens from a young age, and it only gets worse. And like it will happen in the workplace, so it could happen in the workplace, it could happen within schools, and you need to address it before it happens, and to teach just how to even speak about each other. It's a big thing. Like respecting each other is such a big thing, where it's like locker room talk is excused because we weren't serious, like we were just joking around. Like that is still language that you're practicing, and it's not beneficial for anybody.
Exactly. And I'm like, in order for you to raise like your child, you have to have a certain perception on it, like, and it is so like the younger generation now who are reading these books, like watching these films, who are like basically okaying this behavior, like are they going to raise their child, whether it be a girl or a boy, to put up or to have that attitude? You know what I mean?
But like, I think not only the children, we should not only teach to the children this, because for example, like in a bookstore, sometimes parents came and they just, I'm gonna buy this for my daughter, for example, because she wants this book, and they buy like big dark romance with like a lot of
the parents don't know what it's about.
They don't know about it, and they just buying this, and there's like so many bad things in it, and sometimes there's like no disclaimer, and the edition, the mention that published this book, they don't put disclaimer, they don't put a minimum age, and the parents just buy it, and they don't look at it at all, and after the younger people, they read that, and that's super bad because they are not aware, especially if there's no disclaimer.
But I think though parents allow their kids to watch a film, and films do have an age and they do have disclaimers, but they still continue to allow them watch that as well. So I don't think I don't think it's the author or the book itself, like
because they're not targeting their media to someone who's underage and someone who's not supposed to be watching it. But also it's like, are we blaming the parents, or blaming the media, or blaming the watcher? You know, who is
there shouldn't really be a blame other than like a whole blame. You know what I mean? Because to be honest, like I'm like, I don't know if I'd let my child read a book or not, but I can't say because I don't have a child. You know what I mean? So I could be one of those parents that are like, read that book, because I'm too busy to check if the book is suitable for them. You know, it's such an easy mistake that can happen. Like, you know, films as well, like you know, I think I watched Rocky or something when I was like 12, which is like a 15 film or something like that I shouldn't have watched, but my dad was like, sit down there, it's grand. Like,
I didn't blame the parent in it, like
no, we know.
I just mean
it's like no, that wasn't me, I didn't do that.
Because like sometimes I express myself bad because it's not my first language.
I mean in general, like in a sense that who is to blame when it comes to this kind of stuff? Like all that the director or author can do is say, by the way, this is the trigger warnings, this is the disclaimer, this is who it's targeted for, but they can't control who views that content. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but like for example, the parents, we can't really blame them, they just don't know about it. But for the people creating the ad, like what is it again, the ad you show us?
Oh, the Dolce & Gabbana ad.
Like a Kardashian one.
Like they know what they are doing. We do it like in purpose. We show like a woman that is like a lot of men just and herself and like almost naked.
Yeah, I think it's really important to talk about that ad, because how old were you when it came out? Because you remember, I only learned about it a few years ago, but
I think I was like,
probably saw it like when it was released.
I think I saw it when I was like, say, late secondary school, maybe leaving, so probably over 10 years ago. And 10 years ago I would have been 16, and I was a big fan of the Kardashians at the time. I watched all their stuff, so if I seen Kim Kardashian in doing something or like allowing something, like I was implemented that, because you know, I watched them, I looked up to him, I was influenced by him. Like, sue me for it, like I'm a Kardashian fan. You know what I mean? So when I seen like Kim do this stuff, or even when she done her Playboy Bunny ad, I was like, okay, well, I want to be a Playboy Bunny for Halloween. And I'm like, girl, no. Like, I look back now and I'm like, what were you thinking?
At 16 as well.
At 16, like, I'm too young to be looking at something like that. You know, I'm too young to understand the implications of it, like.
Yeah, and even the way that the ad is done, it's so like they just glorified and glamorized it, and I think that wasn't necessary for what they were advertising at all. Like that campaign, the way it was carried out was very like intense, but
It was for a perfume.
yeah, it like I don't understand.
The Dolce Gabbana one was a perfume ad. But like, so say for example, like we're me, because I the Playboy Bunny one, right? So I've seen it, I watched it, watched it when it came out, say.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there being like, oh my god, like this is great. Sorry, I kicked you. I'm like, this is great. I want to be a Playboy Bunny now. Like, you know, Kim Kardashian's been a Playboy Bunny. I want to be a Playboy Bunny. And I'm looking at it being like, oh my god, her life is amazing. She's surrounded by all these men. She's like naked or whatever. Like, and it's not until I got older and like we looked into that ad did we realize like that
that wasn't okay to.
No, it absolutely. First of all, it's completely not okay to do. But she wasn't comfortable. Like she was not comfortable doing the ad. She didn't want to do it. But they basically told her, and I say they because they were men who was in control of the ad, and they were basically like, yeah, well, if you want to be successful in this industry, this is what you have to do. Like you have to be naked on a public ad for people to see you in order for you to be successful.
And what a position that to put her in, because for someone who, I completely understand, like someone who wants to develop and grow and succeed, and they've got an opportunity like this in front of them, and what way do they go? Do they ignore the opportunity and not become successful, or do they
lose
take
their
it
chance
and
at it,
expose themselves like that?
Yeah.
Because that's something that she wanted to do at the time.
No, and since then, like, so since she has, so even the likes of her sex tape being released, like her family, and it is known and it is portrayed in the media and in their reality TV show and in like every article you read, that the only reason the Kardashians are who they are now is because they released Kim's sex tape without her knowing, which brought a buzz to their family, which they then got a reality TV show out of, which they've then gone and made millions out of, and they've established businesses outside of the Kardashian name. So they're now successful by themselves, but what do they sacrifice to get to be that successful? Because we were trying to find like any ad. I remember she's done a Balenciaga one after that, which was very, very sexualized as well. So like we can't find the Playboy Bunny, we can't find any traces of him now because she doesn't want, she wasn't comfortable, she doesn't want that out there. Like,
yeah, and I completely understand that.
Like I remember an episode where she was like crying because her sex tape popped up on
Roblox.
Her
child.
Oh
my god, it's
her child was watching. It was
playing like 10 or 12, like or even younger. We're like so young.
Yeah,
her child seen it
playing a game, and he was like, "Oh, if I click on this, it will release. What's this, mom?" And she saw it, and she like was sobbing on the phone to her lawyer. Like, can you imagine going through that as a mother, trying to? Because she's doing so much for her kids, trying to get them away from that part of her life, and for that to be brought up again, I can imagine what that was like. It just
follows her, like, and I do think, like, you know, that if she weren't in the media eye and you just met her on the street and you met her as she is now, like a successful businesswoman, owns one of the most established clothing brand ever, like the revenue it generates is incredible, the reputation it has. She is in partnership with some of the highest people in business. She is now a qualified attorney. She fights to get people out of prison that have been wrongfully accused. She works with kids who go through the
but what
the
is she known for is so unfortunate. She has so much to her name, so much success, but what is she known for?
That's what I'm saying. If you met her in the street as she is now and you didn't know that she had done a sex tape, or you didn't know that she had
Playboy Bunny,
or for all the world OnlyFans, because that's what people are doing now in order to be successful, but they're not seen as successful. But she basically done all this sexualized stuff and got money for it, and in return she has turned that into a successful business because of that. But if we met her in the street as just some random Mary, like, we'd be like, oh my god, you're so impressive. Like, fair play to you for pulling yourself out of that situation and, you know, establishing yourself now. But the media is now portraying to everyone that, like, she will never be taken serious, you know. She is not successful. She's only has what she has now because of this and that. And I'm like, no. Like
it's ridiculous. I really disagree with it. I think it's
like, she works her arse off.
Yeah.
You know, like anyone else. I know so many people that do OnlyFans and do it in secret because they're scared that they will never be able to flip what they're making from it, to flip it into, like, I know people who just do OnlyFans to save for the money they need to start a business. Like, I know someone who has a really successful business from it, but nobody knows that she has that money from OnlyFans.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if they did, then her business would take a huge hit. Like, I just think that...
Yeah, because OnlyFans, I really has this image of, like, just setting your feet or setting, like, your underwear, this kind of thing. Like, that's the image most of the people have, so... But that's the thing, like, most of the people that are, like, really famous, like, actor, and everything, a lot of them, or especially, like, in the mankina, like...
The what?
Sorry. The people who, like, wear, like, clothes and walk. You know?
Models.
Yeah, models. Sorry.
Okay.
Like, models.
Yeah.
I read this book and everything, and it was about the thing that a lot of them have to sexualize themselves to go super high. And after, people just throw this in their face, and they're like, you're obligated in this kind of place. Like, if you want to be successful, sometimes you just don't have the choice, and it kills you inside, but you're obligated to.
Yeah, I can imagine. It sounds horrible. And just to tie that into, like, different TV shows and, like, movies that, like, we come across that, like, that show that kind of, like, sexualization, and it's just ignored.
Yeah.
Because it's, like, turned into really, like, cinematic scenes that we don't pay attention to what's going on. We pay attention to the lighting and the actors, and it's just excused. Like, especially in the show Euphoria, I remember when it was coming out, I'd watch it every week with my friends, and we would talk about it and stuff like that, and there were so many intense and dramatic scenes to do with...
How old would you have been when that show came out?
I think we were, like, in...
that was a few years ago.
That was like 5 years ago.
Yes.
No,
4 years
I
ago.
didn't watch the first 2 seasons, like, when it was coming out. I was watching the last season when it was coming out. Don't worry.
Okay, so that hasn't... But how old would you have been, like?
I was probably, like, 16, 17 watching.
Oh my god, like...
But, like, yeah, my friend told me
I
about
think
this
16
series,
watching
like,
it, yeah. I watched the last season when it was coming out. I didn't know it was a thing when it first started.
Sorry to interrupt now. I
Okay.
just wanted to understand what age you were when you talked about this.
I think
Yeah,
my friend watched it, like,
and-
they were 14 when it come out and everything.
That's crazy.
Oh
Maybe.
my goodness, like, you... Like,
Because I never watched it, but I heard my friend talking about that and everything. So,
imagine having a 14-year-old and she's exposed to that kind of... Oof.
But it's like, Elite.
Oh,
yeah.
I
didn't watch Elite.
Elite is, I didn't watch it too, but, like, I watched the first episode and I was super young because it came out like a long time ago, and my friend watched it when it came out.
What was the one with Johnny Depp's daughter? The one that they made straight after Euphoria finished, and it was very, like, in media. I didn't watch it because it was so, like, controversial, but
what was it? I don't know.
it's, like, called, like, Idol, I think. I didn't watch
Never
it.
watched it.
Anyway, we're getting sidetracked.
Yeah.
Euphoria.
Anyway. So I just remember there were so many scenes to do with couples having different, like, one having more power than the other, and aggression and like just really intense what's the word, rough, like sexual experiences that were glamorized and excused because, oh, but they're in a relationship, it's okay. And, like, I remember watching it with my friends and it was never addressed. Like, the amount of times where, what was the guy, Nate?
Yeah.
Was that his name?
Yeah.
The one that he would, like, he would threaten his girlfriends and it wasn't a big deal, and
Because she spoke really to his parents or something.
yeah, and the way she was dressed, he threatened her, and he was really, like, intense physically. Like, it was really, like, a weird part of the dynamic, but it was never addressed. She broke up with him, or they separated, and he moved on to the next girl, and he treated her the same way. And why was that never addressed? It was just glorified, and what happened, you know what I mean? Like, and we watched that and
anticipated them being our favourite couple on TV at the time.
I remember everyone romanticizing them walking in school, or their outfits together, them holding hands, being like, oh, like, and all we paid attention to was the outfits, the little eye contact. We didn't pay attention to him pulling the gun on her, pinning her to the
Pulling the
wall,
gun?
threatening
Yeah, he
her.
put a gun on her. And
Yeah, like it was a really intense relationship, and it was never addressed.
No, and it's even like that film After. You know that TV? Did you watch that After?
Oh yeah, I watched. Yeah.
They have books on it as well.
Yeah.
So After Harden, complete narcissist. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
If someone done to me what he done to Tessa,
Yeah.
oh my goodness! But like the first film started off, and it showed all this. It showed how he slept with her for a bet, and he showed him going through whatever he was going through, so it excused what he done to her. And the second book, then it was the same thing. Like it was the same patterns. He was still doing abusive. He was still doing manipulative. He was still doing, but it was okay because he was so hot. Like
Yeah,
you know,
that's the thing. Like he's an asshole, but it's okay.
Yeah, we want them to get back together. They look so good. She should definitely not end up with Dylan, whatever his name is. Yeah, because he is so nice and he treats her with respect. I want them back with Harden.
Like what?
And then it comes to the third film and they get married and have a child. And I'm like,
what?
it doesn't, like in real life, it doesn't work like that.
Like I remember seeing so many edits, just them, like different scenes, or just like trying to make it really wholesome and loving. But if you watch the movies, if you read the books, it's so unhealthy, and it was never addressed.
No.
And she got back with him. Like I'm not hating the fact that she got back with him. I'm hating that it was never discussed. Like, hey, by the way, like I remember constantly like, oh, we're in a toxic relationship, we shouldn't be doing this. Oh, but you're hot, I'm gonna do it anyways. Like what? It doesn't make sense, and it wasn't addressed. And I feel like if someone who's young, who's watching that, even someone who isn't young watching that, I feel like if they see that, they're like, okay, this behavior is okay. I'm going to accept this behavior when it's being like done to me, which is not okay.
No, you're gaslighting yourself.
Yeah.
But I think this trend started, like all these kind of dark romantic, I think started with like 50 Shades of Grey. And like
I'm a sucker for 50 Shades of Grey. I am a sucker. But he didn't treat her badly.
It was just...
but like it was still more violent and more like
control.
He's a control.
No,
like,
but I think
he followed her. He followed her and everything. He had a book like with all full information.
No, but I wouldn't class that in the same.
No, it's not that bad because
because I think it was consensual,
Yeah.
and she had signed up. She knew what she was getting into.
Yeah,
She was,
true.
but in the second book, when things got too much for her, or in the second film for some people, like she sat him down and she said,
"Shall we just move?"
What?
He's fine. He's free there.
"Oh." So yeah, we got caught off. Anyway, we're just gonna close it out now.
We just want to keep this video short and lighthearted. We didn't go in too much depth into what we wanted to talk about. We just wanted to start the conversation, just to mention a few points.
Yeah, kind of just plant the seed for everyone else. Yeah. So we did want to mention as well that if anyone is affected by any of the issues that we've discussed here today, that there's always places to seek help in. We will leave some in the description below if you feel like you need them.
Just if you enjoyed the video, you can just share a like, and don't forget, if you want to share your own experience, you can just go in the comments. And if you want to see the next video on the channel, you can just subscribe. And thank you for watching.
Okay, bye.